Butler starting 11 for us. You got Vigo Vakoya at left back, 49th career start for him, and a couple engines there in the central midfield, and Pitt's Eckersall and Raposo. So this is what Butler's rolling with. Kev, what do you got for Pitt?
For the Pitt Panthers, their usual 4-3-3 formation, and in that right winger position, number 20, Grayson Carter, the true freshman, had his first start on Friday against Clemson, along with his first career goal. He gets his first start at home tonight for the Pitt Panthers. There is Vigo Vakoya wearing the captain's armband for the Bulldogs. Arnau Villamajana set to go tonight. Beautiful sunset behind us at Ambrose Urbanic Field here in Pittsburgh. As we're underway, non-conference matchup in honor of our partner who's absent tonight, Jason. Pitt Panthers wearing white, moving right to left, and the Butler Bulldogs wearing the dark blue, moving left to right.
That's right. Wish David Day were here with us tonight, but I'll tell you what, he would be great friends with Butler head coach Paul Snape. That's the first thing that you and I said after the call. Paul Snape is from Liverpool, England. Of course, David would have a great conversation with him. Those two would probably talk about the English soccer system for a while, and anything soccer related for that matter.
That's right. Yeah, we were out of our depth with Paul Snape today, as we usually are with our good friend David Day. But it's good to be here with you anyway, Jason. You're no slouch. Here we go. First rush for the Panthers. Settling at midfield, Gavin Wetzel, number 24. Wetzel's been a great installment into this lineup for Jay Vidovich and the Panthers so far this year. The true freshman himself out of the YSC Academy. That right center back position. The rest of the back line, though, Jason, has been kind of moved around at different points throughout this season, whether it be the starting lineup or just adjustments in game for the Panthers.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see what Coach Vidovich is doing with that back line. Looks like an offside there from Bordoy on the left flank, but Vidovich has talked about the depth of this team repeatedly, and I think you see it most on that back line where you've got Sorensen, Gilman, Wetzel, and Harden starting, and notably absent from that back line tonight is Kasper Svenby, who is dealing with an injury right now. But Jay Vidovich has really put together a great roster with this 2025 edition of the Panthers. And Svenby has seen time, obviously, this year, played a lot against Clemson on Friday. So nothing overly concerning with him. He's working his way back, but it just gives you a sense of how deep they are when they do have everyone available.
Trying to read Jay Vidovich's resume becomes overwhelming after a while. Could be pages long at this point. Obviously, he has almost had two different college careers, one with Wake Forest for a couple of decades and now here with Pitt, where he has turned this program into a mainstay of college soccer, a perennial power, and he's done it in the ACC once again. 6 straight NCAA tournament appearances for Pitt. They sit at number 10 in the country right now, and of course have hopes for another national tournament. Another ball sent up high here. Carter trying to chase it down out of his reach. Goal kick coming for Butler and Ari Briscoe.
Yeah, Kev, I like the way you phrased that with Jay, just because if you did take his career at Wake, he goes down as probably one of the best to ever do it in the ACC. If you take only his career at Pitt, you say the same thing. So just remarkable. 8 ACC Coach of the Year honors for him, and has come really close to getting that second national title on a few occasions in the past few years with Pitt. And really at the start of every year, he has a roster and a team that you think could do it if things break the right way.
And of course with Wake Forest, he inherited a program that was built so much by Walt Chizowich. Here at Pitt, cupboard was pretty bare when Jay Vidovich got here. So, taking what was going on here at the time and turning this program into what it is now. It's been an impressive journey for him. 2 college cups in the last 4 years. Only one of 4 schools in the country, to do that.
And of course you have the couple of national quarterfinal appearances in this past 6 years as well for Vidovich. Last year was one of them where they had Vermont here on this field, and has to make you feel a little bit better when the team you lose to in the quarterfinal goes on to win the whole thing.
No doubt. The Vermont, the team of destiny last year. Panthers earned their first corner kick of the match here. They go short with Bordoy. Now to Santi Ferreira. Carter, the right foot liner into the box, comes out the backside. Silva tries to keep it alive. Another goal kick coming now for the Butler Bulldogs. Ari Briscoe to take the goal kick here. In addition to this Butler team, 13 newcomers for the Bulldogs, 4 of them starting tonight, Briscoe being one of them, the transfer from Rutgers.
Yeah, and Paul Snape really likes him, and Briscoe has made the most of this opportunity he's gotten. Transfer from Rutgers, and a guy who never really got the chance to be the full-time starter over there, but now comes to Butler and gets this opportunity. Paul Snape is really happy with what he's been able to do this season. It's always tougher for a keeper when your team is struggling to score to start the season, and Butler has had some struggles offensively at the start of this year, and Briscoe has done a nice job persevering through that when he's not getting too much goal support from his attacking players, and coming off a really good performance against Western Michigan where he kind of kept them in that match.
Just 8 games played in 3 seasons at Rutgers. Connection there is Mike Avery, who's a coach Fort Wayne USL 2 in Indiana. Spoke with Paul Snape, said, hey, I got a guy that I've coached in the summer before. He's at Rutgers. He's looking to transfer. Makes the connection. All of a sudden, Ari Briscoe becomes a Butler Bulldog, starting in his first year in the program as a grad student. See what he has in store tonight for us. Pitt once again with possession. They've had a lot of the ball in the first 7 minutes here, Jason.
Yeah, they have. And, you know, Paul Snape made it very clear that Butler's playing to win this game, and he noted the difference between staying compact and how that's not quite the same thing as parking the bus. Some people might see Butler come in here against the number 10 team in the country and think they're going to just play for a draw or play to keep Pitt off the board. That's not what they're doing, and that's not what he means by stay compact, but Pitt is a team that's going to possess.
And Jason, at midfield, it's a staple of Pitt defensive play. As soon as they lose possession of the ball, they want to win it back as quickly as possible, and you see them swarming here.
Yeah, Pitt just so much athleticism and speed, and Nicholas Sorensen, he's still getting used to that outside back position. Of course, him and Gilman were the center backs last year, and so different spot. Got to be able to get back faster kind of on the outside there and use your speed, and Sorensen's done a nice job of fitting into that role.
Pitt's Eckersall sends his ball into the box. Loose for a moment. They're calling a foul. Climbing the back in there.
Yeah, that's a clear call right there. And Marco Silva taking it for the Panthers.
Official in the center tonight, Richard Krogi.
We talked about the versatility of that back line, Kevin, for the Panthers, and it was interesting in the Clemson game. Svenby actually moved to the left side and played left back. We've mainly seen him on the right, but displaying his versatility a good bit, and you wonder what combination might be the one that Coach Vidovich ultimately goes with by mid-season or end of the season, because you know, it's one of those situations where you feel like you have 5 capable players but only 4 spots to put them in.
You know, both coaches and every coach we talk to before these games, they all mention the fact that there's only about 2 weeks of preseason time for their teams to come together and gel and try to find lineup combinations that work and develop chemistry. And that tends to be the case, and so it's around this time of the year, week 4, week 5, something like that, where you finally start to see all these teams across the country start to gel and become what they're going to be for the latter stretch of the season.
Yeah, and it is part of that journey that you're on, right? From mid-August until mid-December. You know, if you are able to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament and get to the College Cup, I mean, you're talking 4 months of time since the start of the season, and just so much development that happens in that period. And I think every coach in the country would probably like that to start in mid-June or mid-May rather than mid-August. But to me, it makes their job even more impressive what they do, to be able to take a group of guys, especially both these teams here tonight with a lot of newcomers on the roster, to be able to take them, have them start in mid-August. And I mean, you're playing an exhibition game probably 3 days after your first training session together. So it's really impressive to me how they're able to click so fast.
So to your point, Jason, about lineup combinations and how things work. So far this year, Casper Svenby, the All-American from a year ago for the Panthers, hasn't been able to see much of the field. Just 3 games played, 1 start. His season high in minutes was Friday against Clemson. We don't know if we will see him tonight. Came down with an illness after Friday's match. And then in addition to that, Albert Thorson also has been working his way back from an injury. Didn't play a single minute of soccer from the time last year ended until the opener against Quinnipiac a few weeks ago. So a long layoff for him, and both those guys are key pieces for the Panthers if they want to be successful this year.
Absolutely, and Thorson's a guy who really burst onto the scene his freshman year. You, within a few games, I think, knew that you had maybe Pitt's next guy that was going to be a top-tier goal scorer for them, and has battled injury throughout his career, but 12 goals in his time as a Panther, and I expect a lot more to come. And it's been encouraging, kind of like we alluded to, that you have seen both of them this season, and Coach Vidovich has his roster pretty close to 100% healthy, and you hope that it can stay that way throughout the season, because once you get Thorson and Svenby back at 100%, I mean, this is a very, very deep Pitt team that can certainly do some damage in the ACC.
Foul in the midfield. Panthers win possession back. They'll try to quick restart. Beta moving through. Now Anders Bordoy takes a shot and it's deflected.
Bordoy gives him so much on that outside. Such a good acquisition for the Panthers. Transferring in from Memphis. And I like the dynamic of him on one side, Carter on the other, and able to bring another guy like Lassadal off the bench.
There is Casper Svenby and Albert Thorson on the bench together. Pitt sorely missing those guys. We'll see if we see them tonight. This corner sent into the box, headed out there by Manolo Ferreras. Now Pitt with it once again. Sent in, headed out. Nice job by Kyle Alb to get in front of that one and send it away.
Yeah, this is nice service here from Sorensen, getting up from the right back spot, and we talked about it in the open with Villamajana. Doesn't have to be a set piece necessarily, but providing that presence right outside the 6 there, 6'2" frame is going to be tough for any team to defend.
Are now with 3 goals this season in 4 games, all of those coming on set pieces. Has a really powerful leg, and really what he brings to the table more so than anything, aside from his goal-scoring prowess, Jason, is he kind of sets the tempo for this Pitt offense in the attack through the midfield.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and that's such a critical piece of what the Panthers do, because they're a team that likes to build from the back. And so when you have that, you need efficiency on the ball and players that can take care of it and composed, and you have a few of those on the Panthers.
You know, Jason, it's beautiful up here, especially this time of year. But I got to tell you, if I had to sit in that coaching box and have to stare out into the sunset every single night like this, it would not be fun. The first half of the game, you're just holding your hands over your eyes.
Well, I'll tell you what, thankfully the spotted lanternflies have been pretty tame this year, because this is about the time of year you get a big swarm of those too. And
That's right.
Staring into the sun, you got bugs all around you. We've got the best view from up here.
Quick restart from Ryan Hanash, sends it forward. Cross in from Rosso is deflected out as well. I was surprised the official let them quickly restart that fast.
Yeah, I think you can tell Butler is
immediate.
They're trying to catch Pitt off guard, and it is that type of game for them. They know probably going in here they're not going to have the ball that much. That's what Pitt likes to do, is possess, and when that's the situation, you've got to capitalize and try and catch the Panthers off guard and catch them sleeping a little bit. And probably going to be trying to make quick restarts as much as they can tonight.
Sent forward from Wetzel. And Ari Briscoe grabs it, sends it forward quickly. Foul on the far sideline. Fukoyas hits the deck. There's Paul Snape, 15th season with Butler. Most wins in program history. Before taking the head coaching job with the Bulldogs, was the associate head coach at Michigan for the Wolverines' 2010 College Cup run.
And Kevin, I loved Paul Snape telling us about how this game came to be, giving us a little peek behind the curtain. I thought that was really interesting, and said that they typically face Indiana every year and happen to fall through this season. So he wanted to get another high-quality opponent on the schedule and started reaching out to Pitt, and he said, well, look, we've got a tough game against Western Michigan the week before. You guys have to have a tough game, too.
That's right.
And he said, Pitt assistant Josh Oldroyd said, well, as luck would have it, we play a little team named Clemson the Friday before, so if that works for you, we can do it.
Jumped all over it. Replacing Indiana with another top 15 program. Indiana playing in South Bend in the Indiana Derby last night against Notre Dame. Ended up taking a 1-0 victory over the Fighting Irish. Indiana number 4 in the country this year. Hard-fought match last night against Notre Dame. Those, those pesky TV schedules, moving games around, It's just tough. It gives coaches headaches.
TV
just trying to fill out the schedule.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of those where, the TV people sometimes can have that tendency. The coach wants to make the schedule exactly how they want it. Doesn't always work that way.
No, sir. Ball forward, Marco Silva. The Marshall transfer with a goal already this year. Settles this one now for Villamajana. Strong strike. But as that ball was rolling toward him, Jason, it just looked like he had an awkward angle at it.
It did, and I think it would have been a little more natural if he had hit this maybe with his left foot, because this ball is coming from his right, and his body's kind of taking him more to the left, I think, as we get one more look at it here. But a nice ball from Silva. You can kind of see just maybe didn't quite have the angle to hit that with his right, but maybe the ball didn't have the pace to make it to his left foot. So nonetheless, one of the better chances the Panthers have had tonight.
Charging into the box and a shot over the crossbar. Butler with a great chance. Was it deflected? Yes, they're going to give him a corner on that. It's Luca Rosso took the shot.
Yeah, this is a really good chance, and Bader does not typically get beat like that, and neither does Josh Harden. As you can see here, Harden retreating, kind of has him spinned around. Really well done by Rosso to beat the Panthers there. Bader and the right back Harden, and Rosso coming off a big goal in that Friday night win.
Strong boy, big one.
Raposo to take the corner. Headed out by Gilman. Shot at Moxham, and he snags it.
Butler's putting the pressure on here. I think if you're Paul Snape, you've got to be happy with what you've seen through the first close to 20 minutes here of this game, not making it easy for Pitt. And especially for a team like we talked about that's struggled offensively to convert chances. Sure, maybe they haven't converted yet, but when you're playing the number 10 team in the country on the road and you've already got 2 shots on the board, one of those on goal, got to be pretty pleased with what they've gotten so far. It's interesting, Kev, the dynamic between Gilman and Wetzel at the center back spot. And I remember you asked Coach Vidovich about Wetzel earlier this year, and I think you might have even compared him to Gilman. And I thought Jay might disagree with you and say that's a little premature, but he actually said, no, we really like what we see from Wetzel, and we see him maybe kind of taking on that role, and said he really fits in the team and is playing like a veteran already. And those two have been really solid center backs for the Panthers.
Jay Vidovich and his staff do a lot of things well, but clearly it's been a theme in the last 5 or 6 years here that every year it seems like they have a true freshman starting on that back line. When Jackson Gilman came into the program, it was him. Then last year it was Nicholas Sorensen, and now this year it's Gavin Wetzel. It just seems to be the theme. So that was the nature of the comparison. Was, it seems like Pitt's pretty good at recruiting center backs and wing backs.
And it just sets you up for success within your program, and you can have Wetzel learn so much from Gilman in his first year here, and then next year when you no longer have Jackson Gilman, who's been such a great leader for this team, hopefully he's passed a lot of things on to Wetzel as you move forward, and sets that standard and helps to create the culture that you want within your team and in terms of soccer and leadership as well.
Wetzel and Gilman just passing it back and forth. Both guys products of the YSC Academy. Philadelphia Union Academy. Of course, 4 years apart.
And Kev, what we haven't mentioned yet is that Butler has not inserted Josemir Gomez, who is their top goal scorer from a season ago and a guy that does a lot for them offensively, battling injury. So creating some chances even without him.
Bordoy cross into the box, it's loose. Now Villamajana lining this up, deflected as Raposo got in front of it and boots it back to the midfield. Pitt will settle their attack once again.
Can kind of see Pitt getting back to what they want to do here. Butler had him pinned back for a little bit there, but this is the style the Panthers want to play. They look composed, patient, and not in a rush at all, and then you end up getting plays like that where you draw a foul near the final third. And Ferreira and Bordoy have had some really nice combinations on the outside, and you can see why Vidovich liked Bordoy, wanted to bring him in. He's providing a lot on the wings for the Panthers. They had Casper Grenning 1 year last season, and I think very different types of players, Grenning and Bordoy, but needed a replacement on the wing after the loss of Casper Grenning, and so many great wings over the years for the Panthers. I think Bordoy could have a special year for them. He's got a lot of speed and tremendous service from the wing.
Bordoy likes to be extremely direct, and at times that doesn't necessarily match up with what Pitt likes to do in their attack. You mentioned before that so far tonight, Panthers looking pretty composed in their attack and building up through the field, which is what they like to do. At times, Jay Vidovich said in the last few games maybe they've been too direct, and he'd rather them be a little bit more patient. And there were multiple times in that Clemson game, for example, that he gave us that he was really proud of how they built up, and one of them was the Grayson Carter goal.
Yeah, and when we talked to Jay Vidovich today, he just doesn't seem panicked or worried at all. I think if you look at this Pitt team coming off 2 losses, sitting at 2-2, number 10 in the country, high expectations, a lot of people can start to think about maybe what's going wrong with the soccer team. But, I mean, they are playing some really good opponents on the road in Georgetown and Clemson, and that's kind of part of the process, I think, when you do have that patient approach on offense, you're not going to get a lot of 4 or 5-0 results. They only beat Quinnipiac 2-1, but I think he's satisfied with a win no matter what the score is because he's playing his brand of soccer, and it's not always going to result in those wide margins, but it's about instilling that system within his guys, and will end up paying off later in the season.
And part of the not panicking part is, first of all, Jay Vidovich doesn't really panic. He's seen it all at this point, but he schedules the way he does on purpose. And playing Georgetown on the road, playing Michigan State here at home, and then going on the road at Clemson as part of ACC play, that's a really tough way to start the year, and it never gets easier, of course. Even in a couple weeks, they go to Maryland and face off with those guys.
Yeah. And I want to quickly correct myself. It was 1-0 against Quinnipiac, so even a smaller goal tally for the Panthers against them. And you're so right, Kevin. That stood out to me from the Clemson game, is just especially when you have as many new guys on this roster. I think having a game on the road at Clemson on September 5th can do so much for your team, and just kind of that throwing them into the fire mentality where you get put up against the best on the road in a tough environment within the first few weeks of the season. I think that can really work to their favor because they're going to have a lot tougher games later in the year and hopefully in the NCAA tournament as well.
Think about the coaching matchups we've seen so far in this early season for the Panthers. Brian Weiss with Georgetown, Mike Noonan with Clemson. You get Chad Riley coming to town on Friday. Sasho Surofsky with Maryland in a couple weeks.
It's awesome. Yeah, the viewers will be pleased. David Day will be back for Friday.
Think they're tired of you already?
I think they might be 25 minutes
I think
in.
you're doing a great job. I'm not sick of you yet, so that's good. I was hoping I could take a break at some point. You could just handle it for a little while. Anders Bordoy, under heavy pressure, loses possession. Pitt with the foul, trying to win it back. Beta-Ray. First subs of the match coming on. Luca Rosso will take a seat. Edgar Opsahl comes on. And there is Josemir Gomez. A lethal weapon for these Butler Bulldogs. They'll put him right at the top of their formation. And that's where we should divert our attention for as long as Butler has the ball here.
And Gomez did not score against Western Michigan, but as soon as they inserted him into the game, they scored as a team about 15 seconds later. He just has a tremendous impact on what they do and played a big role in that first goal against Western Michigan. He only played 24 minutes in that game, and he had 2 assists. So he is a guy that just makes things happen out there, and trying to get him back to 100%, but he's going to be absolutely key for Butler this year.
First play after he comes on, they throw a direct ball to him up top, and you saw the pressure he applied to Jackson Gilman on the backside. Almost winning a corner kick there. Gomez, the preseason All-Big East player and named to the United Soccer Coaches Forwards to Watch list before the season began. This ball gets loose. Briscoe able to corral it.
I thought Briscoe caught a break there because Bordoy is really, really fast, and I thought maybe just missed trying to make contact with that one, but Bordoy had the better position, and Briscoe relieved that he was able to clear that.
Hanash was looking for Gomez again at the top, but Moxham comes up to grab it. Pitt with possession once more. 29th minute, still scoreless at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Pitt plays it up to Anders Bordoy once more.
Look at Carter coming all the way over to the left side here.
Santiago Ferreira has it knocked away. Pitt throw in from this near side.
And that's what they'll do, because on the right side, whether it's Svenby in there or Hardin, they're both capable of pushing up and almost acting like a right wing. So they're totally okay with Carter coming over in situations like that.
And Bernardo Raposo has been all over the field tonight. Tracking back defensively.
Yeah, him and Sam Pitts-Eckersall. Paul Snape called him the engines of the team. Number 6 and number 8 for Butler. In the central midfield, kind of the two guys in the middle that make them go.
Vigo Vacoya will throw in. Harden just elected to get rid of it. Send it out of bounds for a throw.
No foul. Get up! Get up! Come on, Markel!
Knocked away by Sorensen. Minash tried to make a move past him.
Yeah, I think Sorensen's done well on him. Hanash, 14 here for Butler. He was a big impact player Friday against Western Michigan, and Sorensen, for the most part, has not had any issues with him. Hanash is a captain for Butler who is very dangerous on that flank when he's on, and Sorensen has done well.
Paul Snape told us that Ryan Hanash had his best game of the year on Friday against Western Michigan. Now Pitt will take their turn bringing subs on. Lasse Dahl appears for the first time, along with Loki Matson. Carter will take a seat.
It was interesting. Bordeaux actually started walking to the near side of the field near us. I think he was trying to take the long way and go all the way behind the goal, and center official said, no, just go straight that way. It'll be faster for all of us.
Yep, we've seen that before, though. It's been done. So Pitt replaces both wingers. Bordeaux heads off as well. So Dahl on the left, Matson now on the right. Number 19, Loki Matson, true freshman from Sweden. He's really impressed the coaching staff the early portion of this year. Sorensen and Hanash continue to battle. Tapped forward for Arnau Villamajana, pressured heavily by Butler.
That was a really nice touch by Harden there because he had pressure coming from behind him. It was a ball that had some good pace coming to him, and very delicate touch to find Villamajana, but of course, the 6'2" Villamajana has Butler players hanging all over him, trying to break through.
Gomez, heavy pressure on Moxham. Sends it to the boundary. It stays in. Now forward for Matson. Can he chase it down? No, it's knocked away by Keel Higginson. Flurry of subs now for Butler.
And Kevin Butler, as they make some changes here, also without Aiden Benitez. He scored the game winner, 7 seconds left. He was on a yellow card, and he took his shirt off, and he got a second yellow, which, of course, as we know in soccer, is an immediate yellow card. So that second yellow leaves him ineligible tonight. Another key piece of what they do offensively that they're playing without.
Nicely weighted ball by Villamajana. Cross in, and the Panthers score. What a beautiful goal for Panthers. Marco Silva, Loki Matson connects with him. The midfield play of Arnau Villamajana. Just a gorgeous goal.
That is textbook Pitt soccer right there. We just mentioned it. They've had so many fast, athletic, skilled wingers over the years. Loki Matson comes on. Villamajana starting it all. Look at him beat the defender, the captain for Butler, and across to Marco Silva, who's all over it. The speed from Matson, who's only been on for a few minutes, really impressive. And how about that? 2 newcomers to the team connecting for the first goal of the night.
Marco Silva, second goal of the season for the Marshall transfer. And they love the effect of Loki Matson's speed on that right wing. comes into play immediately. And you can see perhaps in the future at some point this year, a Loki Matson right wing combination with maybe a Casper Svenby right back.
Yeah, lots
That
to
would
like
be
about
dangerous.
that. And this is what Coach Vidovich is talking about when he mentions how this is perhaps the deepest team he's ever had as a coach, because we just talked about how good Grayson Carter has been and what an impact he had in the Clemson game. And then you sub him off and bring on Matson, who's a freshman, and within minutes he's playing a critical role in getting that goal. And so it just really makes you think about the possibilities for this team, for Pitt. And of course, I have to give a shout out to Villamajana too, starts it all. So effective in that central midfield. We talked in the open about his ability to score off set pieces, but you better believe he can still serve as well, and started the whole sequence there to Matson with a perfectly paced ball.
And that's the type of goal that Jay Vidovich would be proud of. Finding one in the run of play, combination play.
I think that's exactly what he's looking for. And set piece goals, Panthers have had a few of them this year. Not always the prettiest, sometimes just Villamajana getting his head on it and banging through a couple guys on the way. But that one was a very beautiful goal for the Panthers from start to finish.
Since 2019, Pitt 61-4-3 record when they score first. Just unbelievable numbers. And Friday was the most recent of those losses. So one of those 4 losses came Friday against Clemson. Josh Harden tosses this back out to Matson. Looking for Silva once more.
I was curious to see if Matson was going to take on the defender, Okoye, there on the far side for Butler, already putting his speed on display. But it's a totally different ballgame when you're talking about beating a guy with the ball at your feet compared to running onto a ball from your teammate. And would have liked to see Matson maybe take him on, see what he can do 1v1 on the outside.
Here comes the Butler rush with Gomez. Sending it forward there for Cunningham, and it crosses the end line for a goal kick. Now jumping back to the goal for a second, Marco Silva, Marshall transfer, played in the national title game last year with the Thundering Herd. And you got to think, if Albert Thorson was healthy, maybe Marco Silva wouldn't be in this game at this moment. And that just shows you once again an indicator of the depth that Jay Vidovich has and the different weapons he has offensively.
Yeah, you're right. And when I heard the Panthers were getting Marco Silva, I immediately thought he would be an instant starter for this team. But the fact that he's kind of been in and out of the lineup and you have so many weapons in that position area just shows you the depth that they have. And I think he's going to be very good for Pitt. I think he provides a different element for them up front. And, I mean, you're more than happy. If you do end up starting Thorson, you're more than happy bringing him off the bench, and he provides a lot.
Dahl, nice individual move. Get to the top of the box. This shot hits the back of the net. Lasse Dahl, a highlight reel goal for Pitt, and the Panthers go up 2-0.
All right, so we had one with beautiful ball movement, beautiful passing from the Panthers, and we had a second where Lasse Dahl just decides he's going to take it himself. Really impressive run here from Dahl. And we talk about all the different weapons that the Panthers have on the attack. Lasse Dahl just taking defenders on. It's to his spot at the top of the box there. Take his deflection, it looked like, off the Butler defender there. I think it was Higginson who was the one to touch it for the Bulldogs, and makes that difficult for Briscoe. As soon as that deflects off Higginson, you can see Briscoe just gets twisted around, and well executed by Dahl. You know, he had a couple defenders in front of him, but as soon as that ball ricochets, you never know what's going to happen. Dahl gets his first goal of the year.
And Dahl himself has been trying to earn himself more and more minutes on the field. 3 starts in 4 games this year, but his minute totals, not necessarily playing full 90s. He's in competition with a number of other wingers. But last year, Lasse Dahl, all ACC freshman team, jumped onto the scene right away. Had 6 points in his first 7 games last year, and then kind of went on a cold spell once they hit ACC play with only 4 points in his final 13 games. Here's Loki Matson pressuring the back line once again. We'll send it back out.
Kevin, his speed is remarkable. I think this is maybe the first time all year we've seen it on full display, and he's just running wild out there, running past the entire Butler defense. I thought he might take a shot there with his right foot, decided to bring it back out, but really impressed with what we've seen from Matson.
When he came on in the exhibition game earlier this year against George Mason, coaching staff told us that he could have had a hat trick in just about 15 minutes of action at the end of the game.
Yeah, I remember Coach Vidovich saying that it was just a shame he didn't get to Pittsburgh earlier. He's from Sweden and got on campus a little bit later than the rest of the team, but wow, does he provide a lot on the outside. Just a freshman for Pitt.
Bader gets this up to Villamajana, or now tries to keep it in, but he can't. They're going to get the corner.
Yeah, Pitt
Briscoe must have touched it.
Yeah, they've kicked it into a new gear here. You can tell, just knocking on the doorstep every opportunity. This is a tremendous ball from Bader. Excellent service. Villamajana just couldn't quite keep it in play, but they are going to get the corner.
There is Albert Thorson. He enters the match now. Silva will head to the bench, the goal scorer. First goal scorer. And Miguel Bertrand will come on to take the corner. Ferreira and Bertrand in a healthy competition. The number 10 spot. This one's centered up, knocked away. Dahl with a nifty move to get into the box.
Yeah, you talked about Dahl. How many teams are there in the country that are bringing an all-conference freshman team player off the bench the following season? Can't be many.
It's a loaded toolbox for Jay Vidovich this year. Here's Matson in space. He's onside. No, he's not. That was going to be close. They call it offside.
Yeah, that was very close. Matson, player like him, you know, he's got so much speed. He does not really even need to be close to that defensive line. I think he could probably catch up and get to that ball. He still had plenty of room, but he's got a little bit too eager on that one.
Another gorgeous ball forward, though. I think we gotta coin the nickname at this point. Loki Matson's the blonde blur.
Is that the first blonde blur reference of the year?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Last year it was used by the coaching staff in reference to Casper Svenby, but I think Loki Matson's a little bit more blonde than Casper Svenby.
He is a little bit more blonde. Svenby maybe more the dirty blonde, but who came up with that? What was that, you or David, that said he's this year's blonde blur?
One of us.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, it's accurate. There's no doubt about that.
I just keep good notes, Jason. That's really what it is.
Did Loffelson earn that nickname at any point?
I don't believe so.
No, started with Svenby.
Yeah, I think that was a Svenby reference from a year ago. That was his descriptor to us when Casper Svenby was new to the team. But I think we have to adapt it.
Yeah.
It's got to change. Pitt trying to work out of the back here. Butler pressuring nicely with his high press. Ball up top looking for Cunningham. Goes across the end line. So if you're Butler, Jason, at this point, what's your takeaway from the first half?
Well, I think if you're Paul Snape, you're trying to preach that your team was right in this game for the first 25, 30 minutes. And so, in a way, you want to get back to what you were doing for the first half hour of the game, but in some ways you can't because now you're down 2-0. So, you know, one thing he told us in our conversation with him today is that they're in the Big East Conference, and they play teams like Georgetown that are just like this Pitt team in terms of the prestige of the program. And so there's nothing to be afraid of for Butler coming in and playing a team like Pitt. But it is a different task when you're down 2-0 against a team that possesses the way Pitt does. So you're just trying to catch a break, catch them off guard. Pitt, a team that likes to build out of the back. You can sometimes take advantage of that, and that's what they'll have to do in the second half.
Nice job by Thorson to hold up, and he was offside. Dahl and Thorson discussing that play now. Lasse Dahl really tried to thread the needle with Albert Thorson. Two defenders flanking him. Up top looking for Gomez. Gilman sends it away.
I think it'll be interesting to watch in the second half if Butler can get creative in finding ways to get the ball to Gomez. I don't think he's had the impact on this game that Paul Snape would like him to. Obviously, he's not at 100%. He's going up against a really good tandem of center backs that Pitt has.
Bertrand goes down. And yellow card issued. Keel Higginson.
And we'll see a replay, but in real time, I did think that was worthy of a yellow. It's a lot of physicality, and right there from Higginson, by the time Bertrand looked like he had already pretty much beaten him to that ball, gotten the header off, and it seemed extra from Keel Higginson there, I thought.
A little shoulder to the back of the head. Hopefully Bertrand is all right. Doing a little concussion test.
Yeah, good to see him standing, and seems to be doing all right. Bertrand, a big piece of what the Panthers can do off the bench. And yeah, looks like they might remove him here, especially with 2 minutes left in the first half.
I think he just has to go off, and then we'll be able to come back on. It looks like he's good to go.
And that's a good sign, because I think if there were any concern here with him, he probably would sit out the final 2 minutes of the half here. But if he's going to run on and finish, seems to be in good shape.
Opsal sends it forward, nobody there.
I think on the flip side, if you're Pitt getting close to halftime here, you're up 2-0. You really haven't had a blowout win this season. And not that you necessarily need one, but would certainly provide this new team with a lot of confidence if you're able to add one or two more. I remember the Michigan State game, Kev, they scored 3 in the first 15 minutes, and we thought, wow, this could get ugly. But Michigan State fights back, and it ends 3-2. So I think if you can kind of flex your muscles against Butler here tonight, showcase your depth, build confidence from a lot of guys, that's what Pitt wants in the second half.
Jay Vidovich told us today, he mentioned that Michigan State game about how it became more interesting than it should have been. It ended up being a 3-2 final, and Jay Vidovich said hopefully we learned some things from that game, and tonight would be a great indicator if they're able to hold Butler scoreless and keep their foot on the gas, maybe add another goal or two. I think that'd be a good indicator and a measuring stick for Jay Vidovich and the staff that his team did in fact learn something from that game, that you can't let up. It doesn't matter what the scoreline says at the time.
Well, at this point, too, you definitely want to come away from the game healthy, and that's what's going to be of utmost importance for the Panthers in the second half, because you've had Bertrand and Harding both go down within the last minute. Especially if they get a third goal, I think you might see some more substitutions, because We've talked about that Notre Dame team coming to town on Friday. You absolutely want to have everybody available for that.
Pitt and Notre Dame have been in some very, very physical, tough matchups over the last handful of years.
Wasn't there a classic penalty kicks national quarterfinal a few years back, I think?
ACC tournament matchups as well that have been hard fought, very physical. So the number 10 Pitt Panthers end the first half with a couple of goals. Lasse Dahl gets the second one. First one coming from Marco Silva on a beautiful cross in from Loki Matson. Been an action pack. Before preseason began, Jay Vidovich told us that Arnau Villamajano is an even better version of himself this year already than he was last year, and the numbers are starting to prove it.
Yeah, I think you especially see that, Kevin, in the guys who have not played college soccer before. In a lot of ways, it's just a completely different game, and sometimes takes them a year to get acclimated, but then once a guy like Villamajana is able to, can really become effective.
Dahl with it on the left. And at first looks here, Jason, it appears that Jay Vidovich has left his lineup in that he had out on the pitch when the first half ended.
Yeah, I think we might have one exception, if I'm correct. Is that Casper Svenby I see on the far side there, Kevin, playing at left back?
Look at you, Eagle Eye. You nailed it. Loki Matson with it in the right corner.
Yeah, I think you and I both probably didn't expect to see him tonight. Certainly not when they're up 2-0 at the half, coming off an injury and working through that. But good to see Svenby is available.
Yeah, so Jackson Gilman is off. Nicholas Sorensen slides into the left center back position, and Svenby is over on the left back side. Svenby came down with an illness after Friday's game. He had played 69 minutes in that match, a season high for him as he was nursing a preseason injury, getting his fitness back into form. Majana out to Matson, takes a shot, and Briscoe handles it easily.
Yeah, I'm curious what Matson was looking for there. I'm wondering if he tried to take a shot there, if it was meant to be a cross that was just off target, but pretty easy work for Briscoe on that one.
Svenby with it now. So we didn't know if we'd see Svenby tonight. We thought we'd see Albert Thorson. Two guys that are very impactful players in very different ways for this Panther team. We get to see them on the field together. Thorson in the number 9 position at the top of the formation. Matson now centering. Villamajana handles it. Space out left now. Lasse Dahl with it. Dahl fires this wide left.
And I love the ambition from Dahl in this game, Kevin. And he's a guy that, kind of as we talked about, we maybe expected him to start this year. He's been coming off the bench most often, but he just looks hungry out there. We saw his first goal where he just took the defenders on, and here once again, cuts outside of that left foot, and he looks comfortable. A tough angle would have been difficult for him to put that in the back of the net, but he does force a corner, and I really like what he's doing in this game.
Bertrand gets it in quickly. Sent into the box, loose. Dahl is there again. Back out for Bertrand. Takes a shot deflected. Pitt switches fields. Thorson dancing, great individual move. Centers this up for Villamajana, out left again. Great challenge by Butler. Get that out of there by Sam Pitts-Eckersall. Like Pitt was starting to feel itself offensively there for a moment. Sensed some danger. Nice flick on there by Albert Thorson. Villamajana in space and onside. Centered up, shot! And a goal by Pitt. Lasse Dahl, number 2 on the evening.
It's just beautiful soccer, Kevin. There aren't many other words for it. That is as textbook as it gets. Villamajana, kind of the orchestrator of it all. Just perfectly timed runs all around, perfectly paced balls. Pitt recognizes the 3-on-2 they get here. Look at the initial service from Wetzel. Beautiful flick from Thorson. Villamajana in an onside position. Recognizes the 3-on-2 there. Sees Dahl on the backside. Lasadal gets his second goal of the night. And Pitt clicking on all cylinders.
Love the patience by Villamajana to cut it back, not panic, have the vision to wait for Dahl. The first 2 goals of the season for Lasadal come tonight. Villamajana gets an assist on the score sheet. Second of the night as well.
It's just awesome soccer all around. I think Jay Vidovich is going to be very happy later tonight. This is exactly what you want to see going into Notre Dame.
This ball up top and onside. It's Dahl again. Can he get it past? Yes, there's still space there and knocked out. What a play there by Vigo Vakoya. Sliding it in, getting that ball out of there. 3 Panthers were swarming to the ball.
I definitely thought that was 4 right there. Villamajana maybe just a half a step behind Vakoya. And he had Matson too. Almost one of those where you wonder, Matson a little bit faster than Villamajana. If he had let Matson go get it himself, maybe his speed would have gotten there in time.
Bertrand whistled offside.
Great ball from Sorensen. A nice touch too from Dahl. Well done by Vakoya to make the play. It's a nice settle from Dahl because those long balls in the air are tricky to trap and control, but I think this is the best he has played all season. I think for Lasadal, this is the best game he's had. Obviously, you've got the 2 goals, but everything else he's done has looked really, really good, and I think he's being rewarded with quality minutes here in the second half.
Obviously, it's early in the second half, Jason, but I would say that the Pitt Panthers we're seeing on display tonight, this is more of what we thought we'd see when the year started. And of course, we're talking about playing the likes of Georgetown and Clemson on the road and those 2 losses that Pitt has had coming into this match. But the way the attack looks tonight looks the way that the Pitt Panthers attack has looked in years past.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Panthers do in the next couple of weeks. I like that they've gotten road games against Georgetown and Clemson out of the way already. I think those are huge growth opportunities for this team, and I think that's an unnecessary challenge there from Bateray. You're up 3-0. Bateray is a huge guy on this team. They need him, especially when they're playing Notre Dame on Friday. Conference plays soon to be in full swing. But back to Pitt and coming up, I think you're right, Kevin. This attack that they've got here against Butler tonight is what we expect from them. They've got so many different pieces, very dynamic offense, and I'm looking forward to that game Friday night against Notre Dame.
Ball up top for Matson, sent in. Finds Bertrand, couldn't settle it.
I think it goes back to what we were saying about Jay Vidovich preaching patience as well, and just not having any worry about this team and just the 1 goal advantage over teams like Quinnipiac. He never seemed worried about the way his team was progressing and coming along. A lot of new pieces that they're trying to get in the right spot and play together. And, you know, if you keep believing in your system, your style, your tactics, you're going to have results like this come along where everything seems to be working. And before you know it, you've got a 3-goal lead in the 53rd minute. I think it's notable too, Kevin Baderay, who sends this beautiful up here to Svenby. With Gilman out, Captain Armspan has been given to Baderay. That says a lot about a guy who's in his first year with the team. But I remember when we talked to Jay Vidovich a few weeks ago, he said when things go wrong, everybody's going to be looking to him, including me. So he's just that composed presence in the central midfield, and I think him and Villamajana complement each other so well there.
He even went as far to say that he thinks he might have to start recruiting more Argentinian players because of Tomas Baderay. Nice ball out wide for Thorson in space. He cuts it back front. Bertrand slots this into the left side of the net. Miguel Bertrand notches the 4th goal of the night for Pitt.
Clicking on all cylinders now. I mean, this is just clinical from Pitt. This is exactly what you're looking for in the final third. 4-0 now, Panthers. Most goals they've scored in any game this season. Fans here at Ambrose Urbanic Field are loving it. It's a beautiful night for soccer. We've still got 37 more minutes of this, but just look at the work here from Villamajana to hold off the defenders. He is so good at timing those passes on the through balls to Thorson. Thorson keeps it in. Bertrand is there, slots it into the side panel. That's a meaningful goal for Bertrand, too. I know Jay Vidovich has talked about wanting to get him on the field a bit more. It's just so tough when you have so many weapons, and Santiago Ferreira has done such a nice job in the number 10 role, but Bertrand, a guy he really likes and wants to find ways to get him more time, and that's huge for his confidence. And a big goal there to put him up 4-0.
First career goal for Miguel Bertrand. Beautiful assist from Albert Thorson. And Villamajana has a secondary assist on that. So 3 assists tonight for our now Villamajana.
It's incredible. What a performance.
Short corner flicked on and over the end line for a goal kick.
It's interesting with him, Kevin, because at the start of last year, I think you saw the potential, but you mentioned it earlier. Vidovich said he really didn't start clicking until the end of the year. He got comfortable playing the college game and just hit a new level. And I think within 1 year's time here, he's become one of the best center midfielders in the ACC and probably in the country.
I think that's without a doubt. And you probably could have been able to say that about him anyway last year, even through the middle of the season. But he really seemed to figure things out as the year went on, and the coaching staff fully expected him to be doing exactly what he's doing. And that's generating chances in the run of play like they are tonight. So 3 assists for him tonight, 3 goals on the year.
And you know, in TV, we love when the guy we spotlight in the open ends up having a good game.
Nailed it. Not to toot our own horn or anything, but Villamajana lines up a shot, blocked there by Ferreras. He was trying to make us look real smart.
As I was going to say, the only difference is that in the open we talked about the goal scoring.
About goals, right.
Not the distributing, which he's done tonight.
Don't let the facts get in the way.
I think if that wasn't blocked, that might have been goal number 5 here.
Villamajana, a grad student in his 2nd year of eligibility. Came in as an older college soccer player, and that makes it even more impressive. He's kind of have to relearn a different style of play. Coming over from club ball, 4 years with FC Barcelona. Beta sends this one in. Villamejana wins the corner.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, you and I last year, we were expecting him to probably be out of eligibility. And when Coach Vidovic told us that he was, in fact, going to have another year, we recognized immediately how important he was going to be. And it's played out exactly as expected. What a year he's had already for Pitt with the 3 assists tonight. Already 3 goals, 3 assists this season for him.
Fenby was looking toward the box. So Villamejana in one night tonight, Jason, has matched his assist total from last year.
In the Open, didn't you say he might match his goal total from last year tonight alone?
I might have. I didn't think you were listening to me this whole time. That's pretty good.
David doesn't listen to you?
No, definitely not.
He's probably got you in one ear, Oasis in the other.
that is unquestioned. Briscoe to take the goal kick. Pitt gearing up to bring on a number of subs.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see what Jay Vidovic does here. This game is all but over. How many substitutions does he use? With Notre Dame coming on Friday. Keep some guys fresh for that. Get them as much rest as possible. I think we're starting to get into that phase.
Just about 30 minutes to go here in Pittsburgh. Panthers coming off of 2 losses. The hands of Georgetown and number 3 Clemson on the road. Nice ball up top for Bertrand. And a foul behind the play.
Yeah, we wondered how Butler would come out this second half, Kevin, but I think there's just one answer here. Pitt is just too good. I mean, you can say whatever you want at halftime in the locker room to try and get them and maybe make a push in the second half, but at the end of the day, this Pitt team is just littered with talent. It's got to be frustrating for Paul Snape, even when some of their top players come off. They bring on reinforcements that are oftentimes just as good. So that's a tall task for any opposing coach coming in here to Ambrose Urbanic Field, and Pitt showing what it can be at its best. There's no doubt.
Gilman gets the armband back now that Beta is out. Lasadal also out. Josh Vicek slots into that left wing position. Dahl's still there. My apologies, thought he went off.
2 goals, 3 shots on goal. Think he wants a hat trick?
I would say so.
Who wouldn't, right?
I did love at that break, though, for the substitutions. Josh Oldroyd grabbed Lasadal on the sideline and was still coaching him up.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter you score 2 goals. The way this coaching staff operates, you have to do all the little things right. And that's got to be what this conversation is all about.
Yeah, I love that you pointed that out, Kevin. You're absolutely right. I mean, Pitt just making some routine substitutions there. They're up 4-0. But that's what makes this a championship program, is they're using that opportunity to talk to Lasadal, who's already got 2 goals on the night. Mentioned he's having his best game of the season. Such a great staff that Jay Vidovich has with Bryce Cregan, Oldroyd, and Zach Shalosky on the right there. A lot of history with Shalosky. Of course, he played for Vidovich at Wake Forest and now is with him on the bench. Bryce Cregan, former Pitt Panther. Here goes Dahl again.
Dahl takes a poke. Looking for goal number 3.
Kevin, we haven't seen Grayson Carter at all in the second half. He checked out midway through the first half. Freshman for the Panthers, who had that really great goal against Clemson. I mean, that was tremendous. Another good play by Lasadal in that one, too. They're able to combine on that. We talked to Jay Vidovich about that stretch in the second half of the Clemson game where Pitt really looked like this. They didn't necessarily look like they look now for all 90 minutes against Clemson, but there was a 15-minute stretch or so in the second half where they looked patient, composed. They were building the way they like to, and kind of came together there with Dahl and Carter combining on the goal that ended up tying things. Of course, Clemson would go on to get the game winner, but Pitt showed some really good moments, and you especially like that from a freshman when you're playing against the number 3 team in the country on the road.
It's a big spot to slot him into.
Yeah.
Handled it well. He said he doesn't get rattled. He likes the moment.
I think Jay actually told us at the start of the season, don't be surprised if he's starting by the end of the season. Well, it turns out it only took him a couple weeks to work his way into the starting 11.
Casper Svenby. Weren't sure if we'd see him tonight. He's still on. Played 19 minutes. You see the minutes breakdown for Thorson and Svenby, kind of game by game here, as they've both been building themselves back up into fitness. Season high in minutes for both those guys on Friday, and getting decent run here in the later stages of the second half. Just a couple days later. Loki Matson here with space. Individual move, takes a shot, booted away by Ferreras. There'll be a corner coming, but Jason, it's a good sign that they're able to play both those guys tonight, even after logging season high in minutes on Friday.
Yeah, and I think Vidovich has been really smart about how he's using Thorson and Svenby as we see Matson draw the corner there for the Panthers. But, you know, Svenby didn't play the whole first half, so if you're just tuning in and wondering why the reigning ACC Defensive Player of the Year is in the second half with Pitt up 4-0, he sat the whole first half and is getting decent run here in the second, which is good to see. Like you said, it is an encouraging sign that they're able to stay healthy. They're on the right track and going to be good to go for a big ACC game on Friday.
Thorson with 27 minutes tonight and a couple of assists to go with it. Ferreira sends this in. Pitt's Eckersall boots it out.
Yeah, and I think Pitt experimenting a little bit here late. We've talked about the different combinations in the back line. Sorensen started at left back. Gilman is now on the outside with Sorensen in the middle. I think it seems like Vidovic leans a little bit more in favor of having Sorensen on the outside and Gilman in the middle, but certainly the more combinations you can have that work, better off you'll be. And this is a good time and an opportunity to get each of those guys a chance in the opposite spot.
Filtering some substitutions on. So here Dyke will come on for the first time this year. Gavin Wetzel to the bench. Lassadal to the bench.
And of course, right as I say that, Gilman comes back to the center.
Yep.
And it looks like Dyke is probably going to line up as the left back there.
Even that is something different that we haven't seen before. Svenby and Matson on the same side on the right here. A lot of moving parts in the second half. 68th minute. Pitt puts up a 4 spot. Marco Silva opened the scoring, followed by Lassadal. A couple of goals from him, and Miguel Bertrand with one of his own.
I think what's notable, Kevin, is all 4 of those guys not necessarily every game starters for Pitt. I mean, Silva got the start tonight, but Dahl and Bertrand both came off the bench, and they're getting contributions from everywhere across the roster, which is so important with ACC play kicking into full gear pretty soon.
And it's got to feel good just in general at this point for the Panthers to put up this many goals in a game. As you said earlier in the first half, you know, they haven't really gained a lead and then not relinquished it yet. And talking all the way back to that Michigan State game where they went up 3-0 early, and then all of a sudden it was a game. 3-2 final in that one. It's got to feel good for them to have 4 goals here and keep their foot on the gas. And they're still looking for more as well. This is definitely the vision of Jay Vidovic coming to fruition tonight, maybe for the first time this year in terms of how they're playing and executing offensively.
Yeah, Kevin, first time Pitt has scored 4 since the Virginia game last year, which, funny enough, came up on our conversation with Coach Vidovic today because you asked him about video review. And I remember that game, I think at least 3 of Pitt's goals the officials decided to take a look at. And so he was very honest. He was like, sometimes, yes, it is very frustrating, but games like the Virginia game, I love it because we scored 3 or 4 goals and they all stood upon video review. So that was a great performance by Pitt in that game, and very similar here tonight.
Matson, Bertrand, Thorson head to the bench. Grayson Carter comes back on.
Anash is going to want that one back. That was right on the doorstep. Best chance Butler has had in a long time.
Seemed like he got under it. A clear net in front of him.
Yeah, I thought certainly that was going to be the one to get them on the board. Ooh,
could have had a handball there.
That's what I saw too from
Gomez.
Yep. I wonder, speaking of video review, I wonder if they had scored, if that one might have come back. But alas, Pitt able to clear it out. That one would have been tight because it did seem like his arms were kind of close to his body, natural position there. But if a goal had resulted, that would have been a difficult decision for the officials. And hit the hand of Josimir Gomez.
This shot put into the back of the net. What a strike. Sam Pitts-Eckersall with the liner. And that's got to feel good for Paul Snape and the Bulldogs to get one on the board tonight. Haven't had many chances at the net, and finally Pitts-Eckersall is able to bury one.
Yeah, and you said it. This feels good for Butler. Really nice strike from Pitts-Eckersall. It's one of those goals, even in a 4-0 game. For Butler, it feels good to get one. That can be a confidence boost for Pitts-Eckersall. And for Moxham, you hate that, especially because you haven't been tested really all night. And so to have a blemish on the night that's been just about perfect in every other regard for Pitt, you never want to have that as a keeper, but he'll get over it. You still come away with what's likely to be a multiple goal win and more important games for Pitt coming up. But keepers and the Pitt defense definitely going to hate to see that blemish on what is otherwise a perfect night here. Really good strike, though.
Too much under that shot. And Paul Snape told us earlier, he was speaking very highly of Sam Pitts-Eckersall. Now that he's injury-free, working his way back into the lineup and stepping up as a vocal leader. And he told us today, Jason, goals are going to come for that guy. And sure enough, it happens.
Yeah, and that's huge for Butler and Paul Snape trying to get some offense going for his team. They're still early season, figuring out who those weapons in the attack are going to be. I mean, we talked about in the open, this is a team that creates a lot of chances and shots, but the success rate on those is not where they'd like it to be. And so for Pitts-Eckersall to just kind of take his opportunity there outside the box and nothing to lose. You're down 4-0. Why not have a strike from that area, and ends up converting. Really well done. And talk about how frustrating it is for Moxham. I don't think there are many keepers that would have been able to make that save. It was a very nice shot there from Sam Pitts-Eckersall to get Butler on the score sheet.
Goals just breed confidence. And at this point, that's what Butler's looking to try and build some of. Because all the metrics through their first 5 games, in every single game, they've had higher expected goals average. The metrics point in their favor, but their record ends up being 2-3. Just ball hasn't fallen their way yet. So in a situation like this where, you know, obviously they'd love to even this thing up with a flurry of goals, but even to just get one in a place like this, a fortress for the Panthers where they rarely lose, rarely relinquish any leads, it's got to feel good for them.
Yeah, Kevin, you know, there's not too much that I can take from my soccer career that ended in high school that's of any value. But one thing I can say is when you're getting blown out, if you score, you do go home thinking, you know what, we got crushed, but I did score a goal.
Yeah.
And so also that didn't happen often. But in those moments, it does mean something. And so I think that's going to be big for Sam Pitts-Eckersall to take that from tonight's game, especially going up against a top 10 team in the country.
When you say it didn't happen often, you mean you didn't get crushed often? That's what you meant?
We did all right. We had a former Panther, Josh Lucchini, on our team.
There
He
you
helped
go.
us out. But if we did get crushed, it was probably him scoring that one goal and not me.
Yeah. What position did you play?
I was typically outside mid. I used to be fast, so.
Yeah, you're definitely not anymore.
No. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Centered up from Svenby. Ball still loose in the corner, and it goes out.
Yeah, that was a nice clean tackle there from Hanash. Like to see the effort there, even down 3, 15 minutes to go. That's what you want to see from a captain, too. I mean, this point in the game, you need to have guys like that who kind of lead by example and shows that he's not quitting on this team here in the late stages.
Little tic-tac-toe going on from the Panthers right now on the right side. Vicek with it back to Svenby. Settles with Carter. They'll take their time. Hanash able to win possession back just for a moment. But Loppin comes back. Take it away.
Yeah, this is kind of that phase of the game and stage for Pitt where they're just getting whatever they want and doing whatever they want with the ball, and it's pretty to watch.
Carter into dangerous space. Now to Svenby. That cross is knocked away by Gomez.
Yeah, good to see Zaire Dyke out there. You know, he connected on the goal in the exhibition against Robert Morris to start the year, and those are always neat because you see pretty much everybody on the team, and a lot of respect for him. He's been around for a while on this Pitt team and has never seen too much time, but to have a guy who clearly is committed to the university and just enjoys being part of a winning culture, it's nice to see him getting some minutes here at left back for Pitt.
Ferreira looking for Svenby. Crossed in the air, back post. He's looking for Jacob Redenfors. We mentioned earlier that Butler tonight is without Aiden Benitez. That's the man who scored the game winner with 7 seconds left against Western Michigan on Friday. And if you saw it, the celebration was impressive. Benitez rips his shirt off, runs to the corner, not thinking, I'm sure, in the moment with the excitement of winning the game that he already had a yellow card. Therefore gets another yellow, sent off with 7 seconds to go, and can't play tonight, unfortunately, for Butler. You never know. Maybe this game looks different if Benitez is in there, and his progress making darting runs between the lines for this attack is something that Paul Snape really likes. But we asked Paul Snape, hey, did you have a conversation with him about that? And he said, you know, I did later, but in the moment, I was just worried about whether there was enough time on the clock where Western Michigan could maybe get a goal and tie it up again.
That was one of my favorite responses from Paul Snape today. And that was such an enjoyable conversation. I know, Kevin, for you and I and for David, that's one of the most enjoyable parts of the job is getting to talk to so many different coaches and hearing all of their different perspectives. And Paul Snape was as good as it gets in terms of those conversations. And we appreciate his honesty and what he was able to tell us. But that was one of those that made you chuckle for sure when he was talking about that. The fact that his team just had an epic result to score with 7 seconds left and get a big win, and he's thinking about, all right, there's still 7 seconds. We got to make sure we hold on. And what did he say? He thinks because of physics, if there were any less than 3 seconds left, he would have sealed it because the ball can't travel to the goal in that amount of time. So
that's a quick scientific calculation to come up with.
He thought it through.
Yeah, he said the official came over in the moment and said, you know, I'm sorry, I just have to. Like, I have to give him a card for this. He's like, oh, you know, it's fine. But the thing that made me laugh more about that conversation was when he said when he was a player, he was always the guy starting the kickoff at the center of the circle.
Right.
And he would make sure every game to go up to the official and tell him how great he was at his job.
Oh, Paul Snape
that's how he would start the game.
He's a referee's best friend.
That's
There's
right.
no doubt about it. That's a good point. That was one element of the conversation we haven't touched on yet is he really preaches to his players, do not talk to the referees. And it was said that he learned that growing up playing rugby. And in rugby, that's kind of just the standard, is that you do not talk to the officials if you're playing. And he allows his captains to have conversations with the referees, but he does not want to see any other players talking to them and has a high level of respect for what they do. So, yeah, Paul Snape, he's making sure he's staying on good terms with the referees at every opportunity.
Foul on Redenfors here after a nice ball sent over from Grayson Carter initially. Clock stops for subs.
and I'm excited to see how they'll do as we see Logan Oliver check in. I'm excited to see how Butler will do over the next few games. We talked about the tough stretch they're in right now, but there are some opportunities, and they'll move past this one. I think he said they're getting back on the bus tonight to go back to Butler, but they'll move on. Pitt, a very good opponent. They're going to have more tough games ahead, and I think he's got some pieces that can do some damage on this year's team and move them in the right direction.
And as Gomez continues to get healthier, find more fitness as the year goes on, I think by the time they get into Big East play, they can be pretty dangerous. This stretch will tell it for them. They lost 1-0 to IU Indy, and that was one that Paul Snape said we really, hated losing that one. That's a match where we usually have a lot of success. But he used it as a chance to kind of regroup and say, okay, we have significant opponents coming up. This team is capable of doing more. So the win against Western Michigan is a big confidence boost for sure. Tonight you get Pitt. Of course, if this result holds, it's not what they want to see, but they were competitive at different points in this match, and there's good things you can draw on. And then coming up, Ohio State, and you get into conference play with Georgetown, always a tough match. Akron looming later this month. All of those teams on your screen there appeared in the NCAA tournament a year ago.
Yeah, it's never a stretch, right, where you're expecting to win all 6 of those by any means, but it is one where you want your team to grow and develop before you get into the thick of Big East play. And I think that's what Paul Snape wants from his group. He knows they're not going to win all 6 of those matches. Of course, getting beat up a little bit here by Pitt tonight, but you've got another opportunity on Saturday. You've got about 5 days of rest in between before you take on Ohio State and Georgetown in a Big East game coming up not long after that to open Big East play for them. And Evansville and Akron are good opportunities. And then after that, you're pretty much into Big East play. And that's where they can find out who they really are, learn a little bit more about their identity. But I really think the best way to grow your team and develop is by playing these tough games. And I think you've seen it here with Pitt too, Kevin. I mean, how many times over the years have we seen Jay Vidovich really stack up his non-conference schedule, and then by the time they get into ACC play, they've been through it. They've been battle-tested, and makes them better for it. So I like that Paul Snape was able to schedule that way. And might not have had Indiana on the schedule this year, but some very, very good opponents, no doubt.
It's the first game against a top 10 team for Butler since 2021. But it all helps, and if you're going to learn your lessons, you might as well take your lumps against the best, because at the very least what it does, even if you don't win all those games, or even if you win 1 or 2 of them, your RPI is fantastic by the time the year ends. So it's just a smart move in general to schedule up as much as you can, play the best early on, take your lumps, learn some lessons, and use them as measuring sticks for what you actually have to improve on by the time the middle of conference play comes around, because we've seen this many times. Even in the case of Vermont a year ago winning the national championship, you get hot at the right time and you gel at the right time, great things happen. Heavy touch from Svenby, and it's cut off by Ferreras, but a beautiful build-up initially.
Yeah, surprising to see that one come off Svenby's foot so hot. He's usually as good as it gets in terms of controlling the ball and making a run. I think he's going to want that one back.
Pitt does win a corner. Svenby taking a breather for a moment.
You said it, though. RPI is so important, and we saw that with Pitt a couple years ago. They didn't have a typical Pitt soccer year. I think they finished the regular season with 6 wins, but because their schedule was so good, they still got into the NCAA tournament. They had faced a lot of high-quality opponents in the non-conference that pushed them over.
So you look ahead for Pitt to Notre Dame on Friday. It's a good opportunity for them in the sense that Notre Dame just played number 4 Indiana last night, so you have good tape to watch on them. As they come in, ACC play is fully in swing. See a couple of non-conference games in there, and then at the end of the month, NC State, number 5 in the country right now, comes to Ambrose Urbanic Field. That Maryland match is a big one. Think about the number of career wins between the two coaches in that match, Jay Vidovich and Sasho Surovsky.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about some of the great coaching matchups this Pitt team will have in the early season here. Mike Noonan of Clemson. I mean, him and Vidovich have had so many good battles over the years. Saw another great one on Friday. Just a really, really entertaining college soccer game that had a little bit of everything down in Clemson, South Carolina a few days ago. I would like to see those two teams meet again in the ACC or NCAA tournament game.
It was a wonderful game to watch. And I mean, we see it time and time again that the best teams in the ACC run into each other more than once. Whether it's in the ACC tournament or it's in the NCAA tournament, it ends up happening all the time. Sometimes as late as the College Cup.
Right. Was it the COVID season that they maybe met in the fall ACC championship game, and then there was a spring, maybe NCAA tournament meeting between Pitt and Clemson? I thought they met twice that year.
I think that's correct. Yeah, the COVID year sounds right because of the split season.
Right. Yeah, so I'm seeing November of 2020, Clemson, a 2-1 win in the ACC championship.
There it is.
But then there was a spring ACC final as well.
That's
Clemson
right.
won that. NCAA tournament games were played in May that year.
Well, there's a lot of college coaches that would love that.
That's true.
They would love to split the season and have 1 week between every game and be more of a traditional pro style. Because there's nothing that college coaches dislike more than having to play Friday, Monday,
right?
Tuesday, Friday, whatever it might be. But you got to pack the games in.
And Jay Vidovich talked about the location of Clemson, a little bit difficult to get to as well if you're not in the Carolina area there, because you've got to fly in, and then Clemson itself is over an hour from the airport that you typically fly into. So the travel is kind of taxing on these players, and that's something Paul Snape talked about with us as well, is you see a lot of the good things about the college game, but it's not always so easy either. These players go through a lot, have to get to class too, and it can be tough at times.
I'll tell you this. I'm happy that I have to drive 10 minutes to get home tonight. Butler has to get on a bus and go 6 hours tonight.
No, and you don't have to go to class tomorrow either.
I do not. I do not.
This has been a great performance from Pitt, though. I think we've talked about it a few times, but Lasadal with a couple goals and just propelling them to a 4-1 win that felt like it was Pitt pretty much all the way. They weren't pushed, didn't sacrifice that lead, and very consistent performance for 90 minutes.
3 assists from Arnau Villamajana. It's a masterclass of a display in the attack tonight for the Pitt Panthers. It's got to feel good for Pitt to get back in the win column, Jason. 2 losses in a row coming into this match, and they take down Butler at home tonight.
Yeah, back-to-back losses for Pitt. Panthers show that there is nothing to be worried about. This is absolutely a top 10 team in college soccer. They're going to be a team that's feared throughout the ACC during the course of this season, and maybe their most impressive performance